presented by the 2018 Honda Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
With rain falling here in the Toronto area, the roof is closed this afternoon as the Blue Jays look to complete a sweep of the visiting Baltimore Orioles. If the Jays can do it, it would be their first sweep in over a month since they swept Washington from June 15th to 17th. They got a pretty good guy on the mound, hoping to get that done here this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Orioles come in with the worst record in baseball, 28 wins, 71 losses. And of course, for the last couple of days, no Manny Machado either. So here's how the Orioles lineup looks today. One guy who is hot is Jonathan Schoop. Had a slow start to the season, but swinging the bat extremely well recently. And down in the 8-hole, their catcher Caleb Joseph has had a bit of success in his career against Jay Happ.
Well, you know who's had a lot of success against the Baltimore Orioles in his career? That's today's starter, Jay Happ. Jay getting ready for his 20th start of the season. That's 5 straight seasons now with at least 20 starts. 7 out of the last 8 seasons where Jay has towed the rubber at least 20 times. He's 2-0 against the Orioles this season. For his career, his ERA is 3.08 in 16 starts against the Baltimore Orioles. His career high in strikeouts in a game is 12. That also came against the Baltimore Orioles. That was back on August the 7th, 2014 against Baltimore. Some of his higher strikeout totals in his career have come against the Orioles because he throws a lot of fastballs and he likes to throw it upstairs.
Well, let's take a look at the defense behind Jay Happ today, including Dwight Smith Jr. out in the outfield.
Gets to start in the outfield this afternoon. The Blue Jays have used 7 different players in left field this season. This is Dwight's 8th start in the outfield. No Teoscar Hernandez this afternoon. He gets the day off. So Dwight and his left-handed bat will get the start today in left field. He's done a good job for him since he's been recalled.
And figures to be around for a while with Kevin Pillar out several more weeks. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. off the concussion DL and into the lineup at second base today with Devin Travis getting the day off. And Tim Beckham will get it started for the Orioles, the shortstop for the 3rd day in a row, and a guy they're going to take a long look at apparently after the Machado trade. He has not had a good couple of days in the field here in this series. Hitting .214 on the season, but does have some numbers against Happ, 5 for 14 in his career. Underway with a fastball fouled back, and it's 0-1. Beckham will be followed by Joey Rickard, Jonathan Schoop. You know, we talked before the All-Star break. Is it on Jay Happ's mind that this could be the last one, or this could be the last one? And he was not at his best. He'd be the first to admit that. Also pitched in a little bit of bad luck, but was not at his best in the starts leading up to the All-Star break. Then, of course, got a chance to go to the All-Star game for the first time in his career, representing the Blue Jays. And because the game went to extra innings, he got into the game, he pitched, and he picked up the save, the first save he had ever picked up as a big leaguer, and he does it in an All-Star game of all places.
You know, I think if he'd never been traded before in his career, I would say, yeah, it was affecting him, but I don't think it was affecting him at all. He's pitched with Pittsburgh. He's pitched with Houston, Seattle, Pittsburgh, Toronto a couple of times. So getting traded in the middle of the season, I don't think that was effective. He was just missing his spots. He just wasn't pitching as effectively as he was earlier in the season.
They're stepping away, and he falls behind 3-1.
And, excuse me, Dan,
yeah.
he would be the first one to admit it,
yeah.
too. You know, that, hey, I haven't made pitches when I needed to in my last start against Boston. There was a little bit of bad luck, like you talked about. 5 unearned runs in that game, but just 2 2/3 to start before that.
Beckham thought he had drawn the walk, but the home plate umpire, Nick Marley, says, come on back. I called it a strike. It was on the outside corner.
Looks like it. If you look at pitch cats, it might have hit that upper outside corner.
"3-2, and a swing and a miss to get him. And Beckham with a couple of words for the umpire before he makes his way back to the dugout.
That's why Jay Happ has been effective against the Baltimore Orioles. He has that high fastball, and he's not afraid to throw it upstairs right at the top of the strike zone. It looks so inviting. Look at that backspin, how he can spin that baseball towards home plate. Hitters think they can hit it. Most of the time they come up empty.
Here's Joey Rickard. getting the start in center field today with Adam Jones getting the day off. A lot of managers will rest a veteran outfielder for one of the 3 games here in Toronto and also down in Tampa Bay because of the artificial turf. And I said to Buck Showalter before the game, you resting him just because it's 3 days in a row on the turf. He said actually it's 4. The Orioles, after the All-Star break, they worked out here Thursday night. So Jones was out there, and I mean, they're not in a race or anything, obviously. So Jones gets the day off. He will sit out today. You know, when you around this time of the year, you always wonder, what does that mean? The guy's been traded? But that apparently is not the case. Just a day of rest for Adam Jones.
I remember he fouled a ball off of his foot here 2 days ago, and that one looked pretty nasty.
So you look at this lineup with no Jones in it today, and he could get traded. He's a 10-5 guy, so he's got to approve a deal. No Machado, and not all that many big names jumping out at you in this Baltimore lineup right now as Rickard fouls it off. It's been a long year for Buck Showalter, a guy who's had a lot of success, but they're not getting a lot of help from the minors when they need it. And I think probably what makes him the craziest is it's just not a crisp brand of baseball. They're not playing good fundamental baseball, which is such a big thing for Buck Showalter. Ground ball down to third to Solarte, 2 down.
You know, that's the one thing that Buck was telling me today. He said, you know, we haven't played Baltimore Oriole type of defense. There's just too many mistakes that we have made. Fundamental mistakes. Throwing to the wrong base, not covering the right base. He says we've got to clean that up, and he knows what's in store for this team, you know, over the next few years. They're in full rebuild mode.
Here's a guy you got to believe is still a part of the future, although conceivably they could deal him, even though he's got a couple of years of control left. Second baseman Jonathan Scope, who, as we showed you, is hot lately. Hit a big home run here on Friday night, tied the game in the 9th inning.
Probably took the trade of Manny Machado harder than any player, because they were such great friends for many years with this organization. Still can't believe his buddy's gone, playing for Los Angeles now.
On the appeal, he didn't go. 2 down, and the base is empty. Just underway here with the roof closed at Rogers Center. The Blue Jays hoping to sweep the Orioles, and then they will welcome the Minnesota Twins to town for a 3-game series beginning tomorrow night. 3-1. Second time in 3 hitters he's fallen behind 3 balls and a strike. He did battle back to strike out Beckham to lead off the ball game. One of the things that always has struck people about Happ is the fastball's not 96, 97, and it's a 4-seamer. It doesn't have cutting or 2-seam action, but they don't square it up very often. He gets a lot of foul balls and a lot of swings and misses on his fastball.
They talk about spin rate. He's got a very high spin rate, way above average, and that just gives the illusion that that ball gets on you so quickly.
Like that. That one up to 94 as he gets Scope, and it's a very good start to this ball game for the big lefty. session with various members of the media today, as he always is, and maybe feeling a little bit better about the way his team has performed so far out of the All-Star break, albeit against the Baltimore Orioles. They're looking for the sweep today. And here's the lineup for the Blue Jays this afternoon, including Russell Martin, who is starting to inch that batting average up by hitting .300 over his last 8 games. And as we mentioned, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is back, and he was really hot at the plate before he suffered the concussion. We'll see how he picks it up here in the second half.
They will face Andrew Cashner, who just came off the disabled list this morning. He was on that 10-day disabled list with a neck strain. He was signed by the Orioles as a free agent late in the winter, middle of February, just before spring training had opened up. He had 11 wins last year. That was built on that good year that he had last year with Texas. 11 wins for the Rangers.
Finished in the top 10 in the American League in ERA, a guy the Blue Jays were reportedly expressing an interest in the offseason. Big guy, pretty big arm, former first-round pick back in the day, but he's bounced around to a lot of different teams. You can see he's had success in his career against the Blue Jays as he faces Curtis Granderson, who starts for the 3rd day in a row in the outfield. Teoscar Hernandez is the odd man out today. Pulls one, but because of the shift, Scope is right there, 1 down. That'll take us to the Baltimore defense this afternoon.
Well, you mentioned no Adam Jones in the outfield, no Chris Davis also. He has the day off. So Jace Peterson will play in the outfield. Peterson has played shortstop, second base, third base, right field. Today, the super utility man will play left field, shifting Trey Mancini over to first base and putting Rickard in center field as the 2 veterans get the days off. Peterson's a nice complement to this team, a super utility type of player.
Here's Randal Grichuk. Grichuk hitting in the 2 spot today. He has bounced around in different spots in the order as he hits a curveball, little squibber back to the mound and underhanded on to first for the 2nd out.
I think that's the key for Andrew Cashner. You mentioned that he was a first-round draft pick of the Chicago Cubs. That was back in 2008. But he's got to get that curveball over. The opponent's average this season, the first 9 not very good. He had an abbreviated spring training. Then it jumped up to 370, but over his last 4 he's been very good. Yankees, Minnesota, Los Angeles, and Seattle. That batting average is just 207. And I think the key is that curveball. He's got a good one.
Couple of ground ball outs to get his afternoon underway. And here's Justin Smoke, who takes a fastball right at the belt for a called strike. You and I were both there. One of the funny moments before a game from time to time in the Blue Jay clubhouse is the interactions between Justin Smoke and Tim Leeper. Tim Leeper, the first base and outfield coach, and they're both funny. They're very different kinds of funny, but they get on each other, and it's good.
Yeah.
We can't air any of it, of course, but it was good stuff. Smoke not sure about that call. Cashner painting the corner on the outside corner with the knees, and he's got himself a 3-up, 3-down inning.
A subject of many trade rumors, and during the All-Star media availability, he said generally that would be a good thing. The fact that teams want you, it's better to be wanted than not wanted. However, Happ admits that there does come a lot of anxiety with all that talk. According to the veteran left-hander, he credits manager John Gibbons for helping him keep the stress level down. Gibbons called Happ into his office following a tough outing versus the Yankees to check in on him and see how he was feeling with everything going on. Gibbons told me Happ has always been a pro, carries himself the right way, but he knew it was all starting to wear on him. Happ told me he appreciated the heart-to-heart from his skipper, saying, quote, "He's just an easy guy to talk to, Dan. He's got good perspective, and it certainly helped me."
All right, Hazel, thank you. And John Gibbons is certainly right. This guy's a pro, and whoever gets him will be getting a good pitcher who's maybe an even better guy. And whether it's the Yankees, whether it's the Cubs, who knows, just about every team could use a starting pitcher. And as a guy who's, you said, Tabby, he's been traded before at the deadline, so he shouldn't have any trouble adjusting or landing on his feet as soon as he gets to a new ball club.
The only difference now, he's got a bigger family to think about if he does get traded. Got a couple of young kids that he's going to have to figure out.
And in 2.5 months, or longer than that, I guess, after the World Series, 3.5 months is when free agents can start talking to new teams. He can do whatever he wants. He could wind up back in Toronto. He could love the place that he goes to. But today, his mind is on this game as much as is possible, of course, as he faces Danny Valencia to open up the top of the second.
Oh.
Damn spell check.
Too low.
Yeah. I guess if you put the manager up there, you're pretty safe. He hasn't been on the DL at all this season. All the other guys are on the DL. Looked like he went around, and he did, says Marty Foster. 3 strikeouts to the first 4 batters for Happ.
You know, when Jay is using that fastball and he's getting it over and he's getting the swings and the attempts at it, I think it opens up that changeup down and away. Just splits his fingers a little bit. It's like a 2-seamer that goes away from righties. That time he threw it in a good spot to Valencia to pick up yet another strikeout.
Now Mark Trumbo, the DH. Trumbo is just 1 for 21 in his career against Jay Happ. A dozen home runs on the season. Always a threat to go deep. Chase down and away, 0-2.
This should be a good matchup for Mark Trumbo. He's an excellent fastball hitter. Jay Happ's going to throw him plenty of fastballs. But Happ will elevate a lot against Mark Trumbo. Mark's going to have to stay off that pitch, I think, to be successful. He is just a different pitcher. We talked about him in the opening, coming over here from the Houston Astros in that trade. He wasn't nearly the pitcher that he is today. Now he just comes right after you. I think he understands who he is.
He didn't get that one up as high as he wanted to, and he's going to pay the price a bit as it's off the wall on the fly. You could see the target from Martin where he wanted the ball, but it wasn't as elevated as it was intended to be, and Trumbo hit it hard.
That's been his go-to pitch against Trumbo with 2 strikes, the elevated fastball. Watch Russell say, hey, give it to me up here. He wants it above his hands, but he doesn't get it up high enough, and it's out over the plate. Trumbo didn't get all of it. It was off the end of the bat, but look how strong he is, how far he can hit that ball. An extra base hit off the wall in left field.
So a 1-out double, the first base runner for either team today. And here's the third baseman, Renato Nunez, hitting 163 on the season and making his 3rd consecutive start. He is 1 for 7 in this series. Nunez started the year with Texas. He's the guy who got called up to the big leagues after the Machado trade. Chased 1-1. That is a big cut right there.
Boy, is it ever. For a guy who doesn't hit a lot of home runs. He's got 1 this year in 43 at bats. Got to cut things down just a little bit with runners in scoring position. He's faced Happ before and has a home run against him. You know what that was? I'm guessing fastball, and I'm swinging as hard as I can just in case.
Chase the high fastball 1-2. You think they go right back up there now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just stay up there. I wouldn't even give him a chance on an off-speed pitch. I think with 2 strikes, when you're way ahead like this, 0-2, 1-2, I think you throw the pitch that you have the most control with. And the most control that Jay has is that good fastball upstairs.
Cut fastball that missed inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The last thing you want to do when you're ahead 0-2 or 1-2 is make a mistake. So you got to throw that pitch where you have the most control with. And he's got a good fastball today.
Runner at second, 1 down. And the 2-2 took something off. Good changeup down and away for the second out.
The diverse Civic family, our most powerful lineup yet. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Dan Shulman to Pat Tabler, Hazel May. Glad we got a roof over our heads this afternoon for this ball game between the Blue Jays and the Orioles. Runner at second, 2 down. Jay Happ's got 4 strikeouts already through an inning and 2/3 as he gets a swing and a miss from Trey Mancini. Mancini at first base today with Chris Davis out of the lineup. Mancini hitting .217 with a dozen homers. Orioles heading home to start a series with the Red Sox tomorrow. Last place against first place. Baltimore is 40.5 games behind the first place Red Sox.
And as of now, Chris Sale is pitching today for the Boston Red Sox. So they will miss Sale.
Swing and a miss, 2-2.
It's like a 2-seam sinker. He's got that in his bag of tricks also. Just take a little something off your fastball and sink it a little bit to those right-handers.
Missed outside with the fastball. Again, you could see Martin wanted it up but over the plate, so Mancini would go after it, but that far outside he wasn't going to chase. That's the bread and butter pitch though for Happ in a 2-strike count. That fastball up and maybe a little bit into a right-handed batter.
He knows that Trey Mancini is a pretty good fastball hitter. We haven't seen too many fastballs in this at bat to Mancini. That one looked like he might have tried to backdoor cut the ball on the outside corner.
Again, the 3-2. And he got him. Perfectly located fastball there by Happ, who has 5 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. And this one will strand the Trumbo double. Can't place it much better than that.
We celebrate back-to-back World Series championships and celebrate Blue Jays heroes of the past. On Saturday, August 11th, the first 20,000 fans will receive an Alomar, Molitor, and Olerud triple bobblehead. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com, and don't forget to arrive early for the pregame ceremony. Dan.
The only time in baseball history that one team has had 3 batters finish 1, 2, 3 in the batting race. Olerud hit 363, Molitor hit 332, Alomar hit 326. So this is your only chance to get a 3-batter bobblehead of hitters who ever finished 1, 2, 3 in the batting race.
I hope they bring them up here so we can grab one.
Nice. Kendrys Morales dumps one into center field for a base hit.
Kendrys Morales got strike 1, and they tried to slip the fastball by him, but he was all over it. The Super Slow-Mo is brought to you by the Samsung S9 and the S9 Plus. The camera reimagined. Available now. Kendrys swinging it early on today. Blue Jays had optional hitting on the field today on Sunday. And a few guys out there taking their swings, getting loose. Cashner's been tough on the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
He has.
He hasn't had the good fortune of playing for a lot of great teams, so the wins and the losses don't look all that good. But at times in his career, he's done really well. We mentioned the 3.40 ERA, 9th in the American League last year. Breaking ball hit hard to center, but it's going to carry out to Rickard for the first out.
Cashner just hasn't had any runs to work with this year. That's been the problem. He's had the 3rd lowest run support in all of baseball. In the American League, only Michael Fulmer gets fewer runs than Andrew Cashner. Heaney, Hamels, and Boyd, the other players that will round out the top 5. But when you're getting less than 3 runs to work with, your 1-loss record is not going to be tough, and every pitch becomes very important.
2-9 this season. 44 and 73 in his career with a 3.88 ERA. He's been a Cub, a Padre, a Marlin, a Ranger, and now an Oriole. Russell Martin hit a home run off him June the 8th. Morales at first, and Mancini's not really holding him on, playing off the bag right in front of the runner. As Martin takes a strike, 2-1. The one that was called a strike was a little bit lower than the one that was called a ball, but it is 2-1 one way or another on Russell Martin.
There's Mancini not really holding them on. Blue Jays started the runner the other day. Morales with Martin at the plate.
On a 3-2 pitch.
On a 3-2 pitch. Now, they will play hit and run with Russell Martin. They really like the idea, his knowledge of the strike zone, his ability to hit the ball the other way. They know he's going to make contact. So they're not afraid to play hit and run with him.
And a ground ball weakly hit to short, to second one, back to first in time to double them up and end the inning. No runs, a base hit, and nobody left. Both pitchers off to a good start here this afternoon.
prestigious cycling race of the year, though some of the most beautiful landscapes you'll see. The Tour de France, July 7th to the 29th on Sportsnet 1. WestJet's first Dreamliner is coming, and it's a game changer. Get ready for a refined travel experience. Visit 787.westjet.com to see the whole story.
Thank you, Hazel. Top three, no score. Blue Jays and Orioles. The Blue Jays winning 8-7 in 10 innings on Friday, winning 4-1 yesterday afternoon. And with Jay Happ on the mound here today, hoping to complete a sweep. Blue Jays right now are 45-52 on the season. And Happ has struck out 5 batters through the first 2 innings today.
His career high again is 12. That was against the Orioles 4 seasons ago. It's off to a good start this afternoon.
Caleb Joseph, the catcher, leads off the third for Baltimore. He'll be followed by Jace Peterson, the left fielder, and then back to the top of the order for the shortstop, Tim Beckham. Jay Happ will turn 36, Tabby, in October of this year. Originally a third-round pick of the Phillies back in 2004. He was the runner-up for the Rookie of the Year in the National League while with Philadelphia in 2009. As he strikes out another one, that's 6 now. The winner of the Rookie of the Year in 2009 in the National League.
I knew you were going to ask me that. Give me a team.
Marlins. And played for the Blue Jays.
Oh, come on. I should know that.
I wasn't even going to ask you. You just assumed I was asking you because it's a tough one.
I knew you were going to ask me.
It's a tough one. I don't think I actually asked you. All right, I'm asking you now.
Okay. All right, here's my answer. I don't know.
Chris Coughlin was the Rookie of the Year in the National League in 2009. Jay Happ finished second. Well, it's funny, you look back at the list, and the guys who finished in the top 10 for Rookie of the Year, and half of them are out of the big leagues already.
Really?
Yeah. Happ went 12-4 with a 2.93 ERA in his rookie season, both as a starter and a reliever. Went from Philadelphia to Houston, then came to the Blue Jays in 2012. And remember, 2013 was hit in the side of the head by that line drive. That cost him about half the season from May through August. Finished that year, bounced back 2014 with the Blue Jays as well, and then spent 2015 with Seattle and then Pittsburgh, one of those deadline deals that he was involved in. Traded from the Mariners to the Pirates and just was lights out for Pittsburgh in 11 starts. As that ball is lined just foul down the left field line.
Didn't get that one up high enough. You mentioned he's going to be 36 years old, but he doesn't look 36 years old. He doesn't act like he's 36. We're going to say he's 35 because he doesn't turn 36 till after the season. And the reason he's in such great shape is he works so hard in between his starts. He takes care of his body. He really has bought into the nutrition and the high performance. He works very hard, so you can see that that body right there is not of a 35-year-old. It's more like a 25-year-old.
He pitched in the postseason with the Phillies in 2008, the year they won the World Series. But he pitched in the World Series. He pitched in the NLCS, made 1 relief appearance for them. He was a bigger factor on the 2009 team. And chopper to first, and Smoke will meet it at the bag, 2 down. He was a bigger factor on the 2009 team that lost in the World Series to the Yankees. He pitched in the Division Series, made a start there, pitched in the NLCS, pitched twice in relief in the World Series as well, but the Phillies lost to the Yankees in 2009. And then, of course, he pitched in the playoffs with the Blue Jays in 2016. So he has never been on a World Series roster of a World Series winning team. A couple of nice milestones for him this year, though. His first ever opening day start came this year, and his first ever All-Star appearance came this year.
I think he's everything you want in a starting pitcher. Remember when he came to the Blue Jays, his first 4 appearances were out of the bullpen. And there was some talk of moving him into the bullpen, that he didn't throw enough strikes, that maybe he's more of a reliever. But he's everything you need from a starter. 6'6". He's got a clean delivery. It's an outstanding delivery. It's a repeatable delivery that he can go to time and time again. He's durable. I mentioned the 7 out of the last 8 years he's made at least 20 starts. He's durable, throws strikes, he wins, he pitches deep into the ball game. I mean, he's everything you need or want from a starting pitcher.
This ball is driven hard to the opposite field. Granderson makes the catch right up against the wall in right center. The 37-year-old showing he can still go get it. Randall Grichuk liking the effort from Granderson. And Jay Happ's going to meet him with a pat of the glove at the dugout. You know that after that catch.
Salute goes to Sergeant Rich Dixon. Sergeant Dixon has served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 24 years. As an armored crewman, he is deployed to Bosnia and was recently awarded the Combat Training Center Commander's Commendation. The Toronto Blue Jays are proud to salute all the brave men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces who serve our country every day.
Thank you, Hazel. And yes, we are. We thank him and everybody for their service as we go here to the bottom of the third in a scoreless game. And it'll be Dwight Smith Jr., Aledmus Diaz, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. coming up for the Blue Jays here against Andrew Kashner.
Tell you what, looking at the bottom of the lineup here of the Blue Jays, don't sleep on these guys. If you're Andrew Kashner, you made it through some of the big boys, but Smith, Diaz, and Gurriel can hurt you too.
Pretty well hit to left center field, but just shy of the track. Rickard is there, one down.
Might not have all the information you need with these young players. Diaz his first year in the American League, Smith just coming up, and Gurriel just coming up. So Kashner, he still has to, don't sleep on him. Don't think you can just serve fastballs in there.
Aledmus Diaz is having himself quite a series at the plate for the Blue Jays. 6 for 8 coming into this at bat, now 6 for 9. Running catch made by Peterson.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. The camera we imagined. Available now.
Here's the return of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. after missing a week. A lot of that time over the All-Star break, of course, was on the concussion DL, the 7-day concussion DL, after taking the inadvertent kick in the back of the head last Sunday in Boston. And really, I think the Blue Jays had a feeling fairly soon that he was going to be back pretty quickly, because I mean, you don't just rush a guy back in there. He's got to pass all kinds of tests, go through the medical staff and so forth. But last couple of days when we saw him taking BP, taking ground balls, he responded well to everything. So Devin Travis is on the bench today with Gurriel in there at second base, and looks like that rotation on the infield will continue. He fights off an 0-2 pitch and dumps it into right field for a base hit.
He was hot when he got injured, had to sit down this week. young hitters who can handle all kind of pitches. That time that ball was inside. Watch how he pulls the hands through and still can barrel up that fastball in the inner half the other way. Just fight it off. I think he is going to get better and better.
Do you see him eventually settling in at one position, or do you think he may be more likely to be kind of a super utility guy?
I think it depends on where the Blue Jays go over the next year or so. If they bring up some of their prospects, and they've got a lot of good infielders. I think he's an infielder. Let's put it that way. If they bring up some of these other prospects and they become everyday players, I can see him being an everyday utility type of player. Still get your at bats because he can hit. Get your 400, 450 at bats, but he's athletic enough to be able to play at other positions. We saw him taking ground balls the other day at first base. He looked pretty natural over at first base. I see him like his brother in Houston. Pencil him in anywhere you want to, and you're not going to get a drop off, but you're going to get a great stick in that lineup.
Yeah, well, Blue Jays man Ross Atkins has talked a couple of times in the last year or so about the value of a guy who can play multiple positions. When you only have a three-man bench at times, you need versatile guys, and sometimes you have a three-man, sometimes you have a four-man bench. So if he can play second, short, maybe first if they try him there, maybe some third if they put him there. And there's some talk that they'd like to look at him or in the outfield a little bit. I don't think they'll do that this year. You know, like a Marwin Gonzalez type of guy who can bounce around the field.
You only make yourself more valuable as a major leaguer, especially these times in baseball, with the extra pitchers, especially in the American League, with the extra pitchers on the rosters.
Cashner was walking to the first base dugout, but it's called inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and you can see he's not happy.
Cashner tried to pump that fastball on the inside corner, thought he had it, but doesn't get the call. You know, you talking about that, Gurriel, it's tough to get young players to understand how important it is to be able to play different positions. They want to come up and establish themselves as an everyday player at one position, but you're more valuable if you can play different positions. Teams are going to want you.
He'll be on the move on this pitch with 2 down and a full count. A guy who has certainly intrigued John Gibbons and a lot of other people in the Blue Jays organization. Gurriel's had his, tough moments in the field as well, but you can certainly see the raw tools, the raw ability that he possesses. There he goes, and the 3-2 bounced foul. Going forward, like right now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the third baseman. Not a guarantee he'll stay there.
Nope.
Right now, Bo Bichette's a shortstop. Not a guarantee he'll stay there. These things kind of sort themselves out over the next couple of years.
That's what I mean about it'll shake itself out, and it depends on who the Blue Jays bring in here, who they want playing as their everyday infielders. What Gurriel does.
There he goes again. Swing and a miss by Granderson, and Cashner gets him to end the bottom of the third. Scoreless in this game through 3.
Justin Smoak is the most underappreciated first baseman in baseball. For a guy who's listed at 6'4", 220, according to the Jays quality control coach, his footwork is impeccable. What happens to a lot of infielders is their feet get stagnant, and it forces them to use their hands all the time, especially putting themselves in bad positions to catch that baseball. Smoak doesn't do that. He's the type of guy who can turn plays that we see not made by most first basemen and turns them into outs. Keep in mind, a first baseman can make your infield much better, he told me, or it can make it worse. He handles the ball a lot, so if your first baseman can't make that pick, the rest of the guys suffer. Mordecai said there's a trust factor when it comes to Justin Smoak. The guys know, Dan, if they can get it close, he's going to make that play.
You know, and Justin Smoak credits his father. When he was younger, he said, you know, you want to be an offensive player, well, you have to be a defensive player also if you want to play. So if you're going to take 100 swings, you got to take 100 ground balls also. I'm going to make you a good player. And he said that his father hit him time after time, a lot of ground balls in the dirt to make him a good first baseman, and he's a darn good first baseman.
Listen, 6'4", left-handed, and not a quick guy. He was kind of destined to wind up there. Got to go back to middle school. The last time he said 8th grade, the last time that he played in another spot. But he is underrated defensively. There's
great
no
hands.
about it. Yeah.
He's got great hands. For a big guy, he's got very quick feet. When you watch him set himself to field ground balls and get ready to make plays, he's got very quick feet.
Not a guy who likes a lot of attention, not a guy who likes to talk about himself, so other people have to do it. All-star last year. 1-2 the count on Joey Rickard. Back-to-back changeups there, and Happ is really locating that changeup well down and away from all these right-handed batters.
You got a whole slew of right-handed batters in that lineup today. So Jay's going to use that changeup. Still got that fastball that he can go to.
And he gets him. That is 7 strikeouts through 3 1/3 for Jay Happ.
I think they are surprised at how many off-speed pitches they're seeing from Happ today. Last 7 starts versus the Orioles, more of the same. Look at these fantastic numbers. 225 earned run average, averaging 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he's given up 1 hit. Yes, 1 hit with runners in scoring position in his last 7 starts.
Now Jonathan Scope swings through that up and in fastball, and it's 0-1. I mean, when Happ's in a groove like this, he just looks like a guy, Tabby, who has been around a while, so he should, but complete understanding of what he is and what he needs to do to be successful. And if he gets beat, he'll get beat because he misses his spots and he leaves the ball over the middle of the plate. But, you know, he and Russell Martin, they've been around the block a time or two.
You can see the two of them in sync right now, understanding what's working today. And I think Jay has found out very quickly what's going to work. He and Russell are on the same page. They're in sync today, how they want to attack some of these hitters.
Popped up down the right field line. Can anybody get there? Not in time. A sliding Granderson. Couldn't quite get there.
And when I say in sync, watch how many times, as Jay is looking in for the sign, how many times he shakes off Russell. I've counted maybe 1 time so far in the first 3 1/3 innings.
Happ giving Granderson and Smoak a chance to get back to their positions. 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count on Scope. Fastball in, and he wants it up, and that's exactly where Happ threw it, exactly where Martin wanted it, but Scope got a piece. You see that little movement with Martin's hand right at the very end. Luke Maile will do the same thing, just telling him, get that fastball up.
And they're emphasizing, hey, give me your best fastball. Okay, now let's go down and away with a changeup.
Yep, the wiggle is the change. And there's a ground ball to short. Big hop for Aledmus Diaz, 2 down.
Take on any project with Home Hardware. Proud partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's how.
Well, we get a pitcher in a groove this afternoon. In fact, we got two pitchers in a groove. Is that the SS Oriole?
That's what it
docked
looked
out
like.
there? Boy, it's going to be a long trip home for those guys. 2 down, and here's Danny Valencia, who struck out his first time up. You know, and then every now and again, he's got these right-handed batters so conscious of the fastball up and in, but sometimes he goes away from that and he starts trying to paint the outside corner with that fastball.
That's what's made him over the last few years, that ability to throw the not just throw the fastball in the strike zone, throw it with a purpose somewhere, down and away one time, up and in another time, up and away another time, and then change speeds. And remember when he first came here with the Blue Jays, he was, you know, a lot of time in between pitches. He was thinking about the game plan, and he never seemed to get in sync or in any type of rhythm when he was out there. Now it's, hey, when I get the ball, here it is, let me see if you can hit it.
And I'm sure for a guy like Pete Walker, a pleasure to work with. Swing and a miss, 2-2 on Valencia.
It looks so inviting as a hitter, a right-handed hitter, left-handed pitcher. You know you're going to get fastballs 3 out of 4 pitches from J. Happ, and that one looks so good. And you can see Valencia, after he swung through it, he was like, man, why am I offering at it?
You got to wonder how opposing scouts are looking at J. Happ, who wasn't at his best in his 3 starts before the All-Star break, but has a great body of work over the last 2.5 years. Now he's looking great today, again, though it's against Baltimore, but I think the body of work kind of overshadows everything. But these guys, the guys with the clipboards, have to be liking what they're seeing today as they make their reports back to their respective teams. Strike 3 call. Valencia didn't like it, thought it was inside of it. It's number 8. Through 4 scoreless innings for J. Happ. The argument continues, but the result remains the same. Cut it just a bit, gets the call, still no score.
MLB TV is now available at a lower price. For $82.99, watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer.
Thank you, Hazel. Randall Grichuk leads off the bottom of the 4th in what is turning into a pitcher's duel here today. J. Happ has given up just 1 hit. He's got 8 strikeouts through 4. Andrew Kashner has given up 2 hits through 3 scoreless innings. Got a double play ball to help him out in the 2nd. Grichuk with a ground ball to the third baseman Nunez. Good range and a strong throw to get Grichuk 1 down.
Nunez will take over at third base, at least initially, for the Orioles. after the trade of Manny Machado. Takes his time, sets his feet right here, and now really goes over the top and accurately across the diamond. Andrew Cashner appreciates that. He missed the game winner the other day. Didn't get it knocked down and kept it in the infield off the bat of Diaz. That time a fine play.
Smoke surprised by that strike call. He struck out looking his first time up.
You can see the shift against Justin Smoke. StatCast AI is powered by AWS. That's Jonathan Scope deep at second base, almost into the outfield. Straightaway right field, touching Danny Valencia, the right fielder. Look at that, all by him lonesome. In short right field.
It's a long throw to first base from out there, and you see guys practicing this kind of thing now in infield before the game or even before the teams come out and start hitting. We've seen Lourdes Gurriel, because he plays different positions. You see infielders moving around on the shift and coaches hitting them ground balls. Okay, let's say you're there and you got to throw to this base. Now let's say you're here and you got to throw to that base, and they're trying to get more comfortable with the throws. A high fly ball to right center field, but just did get under it. And Rickard will make the catch. 2 down. Just missed it. Now Kendrys Morales, who's got a base hit today. Well, Andrew Cashner probably used to this. We talked about no run support for him. He's pitching well, but the guy on the other side is pitching well also.
It's got to be frustrating when you pitch as well as he has, and he's got a pretty decent earned run average for his career. You mentioned it earlier, a pretty good earned run average, but a losing record. He's just been pitching in tough luck. "31 runs he's had to work with this year. That's it. This is his 19th start of the season.
One, two. Chopped foul up the right side. And a breaking ball line the opposite way, but foul, about 5-6 feet foul. And the count remains 1-2. Cashner's in year one of a 2-year $16 million deal. Wonder if any contending team would have an interest in him to add some depth in that rotation.
Just coming off the disabled list, so he's fresh. His last start was on July the 10th. He had a neck strain. He looks fine to me.
He's confirming the count. Wants to make sure he looked 2-2. Yeah, okay, 2-2. Looking out to the scoreboard where it says 2-2, but every now and again you lose track.
It's been a great at bat by Morales. He's seen a few pitches. This is pitch number 8 of this at bat.
Hung that changeup, and it's into center field. Morales is 2 for 2.
Cashner came into this start holding the opponent's cleanup hitters to a 174 average. He had given up just 8 hits all season long to a number 4 hitter. That's the lowest of any spot. Today he's given up 2 hits to Morales back in cleanup. That's a high changeup that Kendrys stays on saw everything that Cashner had to offer in that at bat, and then finally banged that single to center field.
And now Yangervis Solarte as he takes down and in. Solarte lined out to center field his first time up. John Gibbons has been just kind of subtly juggling the lineup around a little bit in the last few days. Grichuk's moved from 7 to 5 to 2. Solarte is down in the 5-hole today as he sends a ball hard to the opposite field, and it's beyond a diving Peterson. And Morales is getting the wave. And there will be no throw to the plate on the relay. The run will score, and the Blue Jays have the lead.
You know, one of the themes, Dan, that we have seen over the last couple of days here is the Orioles giving runs away to the Blue Jays. Maybe not making physical mistakes, but some mental mistakes, and I thought that was one of them right there. This ball off the bat of Solarte. Peterson really has no chance of catching this ball, but he leaves his feet. That's the first mistake, leaving your feet right here, and now the ball bounces away from you. The second mistake is he throws it to nobody. They were thinking about maybe holding it at third base, but watch the relay play. Over everybody, and it harmlessly comes bouncing into the infield. No chance to get him at the plate. If they throw it and hit the cutoff man, they have a chance to get him at home plate.
You know, one thing that happened, I don't know if we can show, well, a couple of things. Firstly, he's a natural infielder. He hasn't played a whole lot of outfield. He's adapting a little bit to the outfield this year. We talked about things the shift can do that take you out of your normal spot. Scope, the second baseman, was way out in right field because of the shift. And Scope would normally be the second cutoff man.
That's right.
On that play. The throw goes over the head of the shortstop, who was the first cutoff man. And Scope, see there, he's just coming into your screen. He didn't get over there in time.
But you have to hit the cutoff man.
Yeah.
You
the
have
first
to hit
cutoff
him.
man.
Yeah, he's right out there, and he's telling you, hey, give me the ball. I'm right here. I'm right here. Give me the ball. But he overthrows him, and there's no backup man.
Yeah, that plays the combination of a lot of things that went wrong on a number of levels. You know, we were just talking about guys learning how to make throws and take ground balls in different spots because of the shift. There's a 3-0 green light for Martin, and he swings and grounds out down to third, and that'll be all. Try to pick this up when we have a chance. Solarte doubles in the first run of the game, and it makes it 1-0 for the Blue Jays at the end of 4. Time now for a Blue Jay Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Kevin Barker in the Samsung broadcast studio. Continues for Buck Showalter. Again, just a lack of clean baseball on this play, and a lot of things could have gone differently. You talked about it. Kevin Barker just talked about it. So now Morales picks up the ball, is off the wall, and now look at Scope running from right field. Doesn't get there in time. The throw goes on a bounce. That's the first baseman, Mancini, who cuts it off on the infield. They never get a chance for a relay throw to the plate. Again, because of the shift, the assignments are a little bit different. How should they have played that?
Well, you might want to rethink this and say, okay, everybody runs the cutoffs and relays the same way. Runner on first base, left-handed batter. I'm in the shift. The ball sliced down the left field line. Maybe the third baseman becomes the backup man. You concede third base to the runner at first, and then he floats and becomes the cutoff man's trailer. So if you miss the first cutoff man, the third baseman's there to make the throw home. You're normally taught man on first, extra base hit, third baseman stays at third.
Right. Well, the first baseman normally trails the hitter, right, to second base on that kind of a play?
No, because there's going to be a play at the plate. He is the final cutoff man to home.
Okay. So was Scope doing the right thing, trying to get over there and be the second cutoff man?
That's how the Orioles run it.
Right.
I'm saying you might want to rethink that if you're going to play that deep in the shift. Runner at first, left-handed batter, slice down the left field line. You might want to just let the third baseman become the backup man.
It's kind of, I think it's fun to talk about because the shift does things and it's got a lot of benefits, but it kind of leaves you sometimes in a situation you're not very familiar with because you can't, you just can't simulate everything. Baseball doesn't allow you to, you know, stuff happens in a live game, and that was an unusual play, and the Blue Jays benefited because of it.
And again, and I hate to keep saying it, you have to hit the cutoff man. You can't just wheel and just throw the ball back towards the infield.
Meanwhile, Kendrys Morales scored from first on a double, and the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Yangervis Solarte going to the opposite field, and it's 1-0 Blue Jays with Jay Happ having a great outing so far. Mark Trumbo, the batter, was the only guy to reach. He had a double back in the second. Happ's retired the other 12. He struck out 8 of them. And Trumbo doubled on a pitch, one of the fastballs that Russell Martin wanted up and out of the zone, but Happ left it kind of at the top end of the strike zone instead of 4 to 6 inches higher. This one will be foul down the left field line. Maybe there's the conversation just right there. Reaching for it. Trumbo hits it softly to short. Diaz got to hurry. Doesn't get him. And you could see there Solarte, Diaz were, you know, Solarte was kind of deciding, should I jump in front of him or let it go?
Well, anytime the third baseman can cut across, it's an easier play. It's a shorter throw there from the third baseman. Everybody is deep. You can see with Trumbo at the plate. He taps it between the third baseman and the shortstop. It looked like Diaz called him off. And the Blue Jays still contemplating if they want to take a look at this one. No, says John Gibbons.
So it'll be an infield hit for Trumbo. He's got the only 2 hits of the day for the Orioles. And here's Nunez, who had a big strike zone his first time up. He was chasing pitches. And we'll see if Happ and Martin try to keep it that way, try to prey upon his aggressiveness. Big hole on the right side with Trumbo being held on by Smoke.
I think Jay right now would take a trade of a strikeout for a ground ball. Right now, the strikeouts are great, but they have a tendency of pushing your pitch count up. This next pitch will be 76. And we are only in the 5th inning.
And he's fallen behind 3-0 here on Nunez with a man on and nobody out. Ground ball to third. To second one, on to first. Wide throw by Gurriel, with Trumbo digging down on him at second base, and the Blue Jays cannot turn the double play.
That was tailor-made right there for the Blue Jays to turn it. Good throw from Solarte. Gurriel hasn't played a lot of second base, and he's got the catch with the one hand and the opposite hand not close to the base or to the glove. I think that threw the timing off just a little bit. Footwork in the throw, everything is different from second base than it is at shortstop. He is just learning that position, and they can't turn the double play.
So the fielder's choice, one on, one out, with Nunez now the runner at first. And the batter Trey Mancini, who struck out his first time up. Well, let's see if Happ can get another ground ball, and if they can make good on a second opportunity to turn a double play.
That's where that changeup, I think, is going to come in handy today for Jay. He's throwing a lot more than normal against these right-handed hitters, and that'll help him to get the ball on the ground.
The 1-1 upstairs, 2 balls and a strike. Over 80 pitches now through 4 1/3. Just 2 hits for the Orioles. 8 strikeouts for Happ. He hasn't walked a batter. Shot into right field, a base hit. And up to second on the play goes Nunez. So the Orioles with a runner in scoring position for just the second time today for Caleb Joseph, the catcher. And the command has slipped a little bit for Happ here in the 5th inning.
You know what I see from him just a little bit? He's spinning out of his delivery just a little bit. He's not driving towards home plate like he did in the first couple of innings, where that front side stays closed and he finishes towards home plate. It's like he's spinning out just ever so slightly, and the arm hasn't been able to catch up, and that's why you see a lot of pitches up and away to these right-handed batters. I think Russell should call some inside fastballs right now just to get him back in plane, like he's going towards home plate.
Missed away again. 3 balls, no strikes.
I think if you set up on the inside part of plate, give a target in there, and that'll help him keep that front side closed just a fraction of a second longer.
See if Joseph's got the green light. Number 8 hitter, runners at first and second, 1 down. Blue Jays up 1-0. And a strike, 3-1.
Joseph's had a good month. He's hit 333 this month, the most hits that he has had in 1 month so far this season. So it's not a pushover.
Borderline pitch, fouled to back, and a full count now on Caleb Joseph. Waiting on deck, the number 9 hitter, Jace Peterson. Two men on with a 1 out here in the 5th inning.
See, Russell had slid to the inside part of the plate, but Jay just still couldn't get it there. It's opened up just a little bit too quick. he'll make that adjustment. That's one thing that he can do now that he has pitched in the big leagues a long time, is make those in-game adjustments when you have to.
Good pitch there, but again, Joseph gets a piece of it.
By throwing a couple of balls inside like that, you get the feel that of finishing out over the front side, over your front leg. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get that momentum going towards home plate.
Swing and a miss, 2 down. Big second out for Jay Happ.
Yeah, it took 8 pitches, but he made the adjustment, went inside a couple of times, and now I think that helped him then to get that ball on the outside part of the plate when he went back out there. Again, that elevated fastball for yet another strikeout.
Number 9 on the afternoon for Happ. And here's Jace Peterson, who grounded out his first time up. Right down the middle for a strike to the lone left-handed batter in the Orioles lineup today. Outfielders really playing him around to the opposite field.
There they are right there. They have shortened up, understanding that Peterson can slice the ball the other way against Happ.
Yeah, Dwight Smith Jr. may get some action here. First and second, 2 down. Just outside. Challenged him, got it by him, 1-2. And Happ now a strike away from getting out of this. It is a big crowd today, but it is a somewhat of a quiet crowd so far. But now they are rallying behind Happ and trying to help him out of this inning. Missed away. Happ taking a little bit of extra time between pitches here in the 5th inning. He's thrown 28 pitches here in the top of the 5th. Full count. That gives the runners a head start on the next pitch.
He still has a good fastball. He just has lost his location momentarily. He got Peterson last time to tap the first base on an off-speed pitch. That followed a ball that was just barely down the left field line foul.
And with the workload that Happ has endured here in the top of the 5th inning, the bullpen is now getting up. Jake Petrichka just starting to throw. Again, the 3-2. And it's into right field for a base hit. And the Orioles are going to tie the game. Peterson's single brings in Nunez. Mancini around to third, and it's 1-1.
Blue Jays couldn't turn that double play a couple of batters ago, and it's going to cost them a run. It kept the inning alive. Joseph struck out, but then with 2 outs, Peterson gets that breaking ball. Last time he tapped to first base. This time it looks like he's sitting on it. He sees it and rifles it into right field for an RBI hit.
And Pete Walker going to give Happ a bit of a breather. A 31-pitch top of the 5th inning, a tie game, and all of a sudden Happ's nearing 100 pitches already.
He had that one inning in Boston where he had a big pitch count inning.
46, I think it was. That was the one with the Mookie Betts at bat.
Long at bats. Wasn't that a 13 pitch at bat to Mookie Betts?
Betts hit a grand slam off him. There was an error committed behind him, and a ball to pop up, the ball that went in and out of Smoke's glove into foul territory. And like you said, the inability to turn the double play doesn't really show up in the box score,
No.
but it can change a ball game.
It'll still end up being an earned run. It looked like a chance to get out of the inning, but the wide throw gave the Orioles an out.
Next one, number 100, came into the 5th inning at 66. So this will be his 34th pitch here in the top of the 5th. Got a piece of the bare hand of Russell Martin.
Yeah, trying to block that one. You can't go back there thinking he's going to swing on a ball that looked like it was going down to the dirt. So he's going to go down and try and block it. And it ricochets off the glove and then off the bare hand.
And you can see again, Happ taking a little bit more time. This kind of an inning really takes a toll on a pitcher physically and got to be mentally as well, having to throw this number of pitches. 3 balls and a strike. He loses them. That could be all. John Gibbons and Pete Walker may have a decision to make pretty soon.
Love to see him finish this inning here. Get out of it.
And it looks like that will happen. Right field, Granderson coming in, and he will get out of it. Had to work hard. 36 pitches thrown in the top of the 5th. The Orioles have tied it at 1, going bottom 5.
Comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are guests from one of TD's community partners. Some news to pass along. Marco Estrada will not start for the Blue Jays Monday as hoped. Instead, he will make a rehab start at AA. Gibbons said it could be a bullpen day in that series opener versus the Twins if Jay Happ can go deep into this ball game. Now, John Axford has been pushing to be the first ever, quote, opener in club history, Dan. When Axford didn't get into yesterday's ball game, he nudged pitching coach Pete Walker and said, so that's my side, right? We'll see.
That could be Luis Santos, could be John Axford, who really wants a chance to get a start. We'll see how it goes. John Gibbons with a handshake for Jay Happ. That's going to be all for Happ after that grueling top of the 5th. He'll go 5 innings, give up a run, strike out 9 today, and it'll be in the hands of the bullpen the rest of the way.
Yeah, Gibby also said it depends on what happens today, what they do tomorrow.
Yes.
I mean, this could be an extra inning game. You just never know. But how many pitchers I have to use in that bullpen is going to determine who gets the start tomorrow against the Twins.
Yeah, they could dip down to the minors. They could make it a bullpen day. We'll see how today shakes out as Joe Biagini starts throwing. So he'll be coming on in the top of the 6th inning. Dwight Smith Jr. leading off the bottom of the 5th. The count 2-1.
Dwight hit a ball hard to center field his first time up, a little over that fastball. So they've thrown a couple of off-speed pitches here to throw off his timing.
John Gibbons, when asked about Smith in Boston before the All-Star break, said things like always gives you a competitive at bat, grows on you the more you see him play. Had a chance to talk with Kevin Pillar before the game today. Took the sling off as we were talking. He's been in the pool. He said he held a light weight in his right arm for the first time today, starting to work on range of motion. And he's going to do everything he can to beat the timetable back, which was originally 6 weeks. So Smith lines the ball into center, and the leadoff man is aboard for the Jays in the bottom of the 5th.
At the Honda Checkered Flag event, the real victory lap is the drive home.
So Jay Happ goes 5 innings today. We'll see Biagini in the 6th. He's talking it over with Russell Martin. Struck out 9. I mean, a lot of good, a lot to like from the start today. Just had took him a long time to get out of the 5th inning, but again, if they turn the double play, the whole thing's a different kind of inning.
He'd be coming back out for the 6th inning. Now Blue Jays score him a run, give him a chance to win the ball game.
Aledmys Diaz flied out to left field his first time up.
This is where your teammates can pick you up right here. I mean, Jay Happ's been picking up his team all season long, hasn't he? Now the Blue Jay hitters can pick him up by scoring him a couple of runs, and then the bullpen holds on and he can get the win.
Smith was leaning. He was out there pretty good that time and eventually drew a throw.
Blue Jays will use the hit and run with Aledmys Diaz. This is a great opportunity right here. A 1-0 count, fastball pitcher, some speed at first base, a guy who can handle the bat at the plate.
Not on. It's a ball and a strike. Well, we don't know yet if Jay Happ will get a win here today. It's possible. Kind of hard to believe they've only gotten 23 wins from their starting pitchers this year. This is the 98th game. So in the first 97, only 23 wins by starting pitchers, and Happ's got almost half of them.
I had that discussion today with Buck Showalter about that. He said it's not just these two teams, it's all around baseball. All the wins are going to the bullpen. Starters throw 5 innings, they're tight games. They throw 6 innings. Unless you're those teams that have those stud pitching staffs like the Washington National, the Los Angeles, Boston, New York, all the wins are going to the bullpens. Starters' wins are down all over baseball.
Yeah, just because, as you say, they don't pitch as many innings. So more and more often the game is in the hands of the bullpen, and often the 6th and 7th inning guys are the guys getting the decisions right now. 1-2. The count on Diaz with a lead by Smith. Broken back, ground ball up the middle. Scope steps on the bag and on to first for the double play. So Cashner gets his second double play ball of the afternoon.
He was not going to give in to Diaz there and throw him a fastball. Thought the Blue Jays might put the hit and run on if the count showed that to do that, but he was down 1-2 and he wasn't going to throw him a fastball.
So now Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who had a base hit his first time up, and he hits one off the end of the bat back to the mound, and that'll be that. Blue Jays are gone, and we're tied at 1 at the end of 5.
McCarty. On Friday, August 10th, 2 events, 1 night. Join us pregame for a live performance from the Jim Cuddy Band. The patio opens at 4:30, weather permitting. Don't forget you can get tickets on BlueJays.com.
Hazel, thank you. It's a 1-1 tie between the Orioles and the Blue Jays as we move on to the top of the 6th inning here at Rogers Center. And out of the bullpen comes Joe Biagini.
He has done a really good job this year coming out of that bullpen, getting stronger and stronger. He worked a couple of times in that Boston series against the Red Sox. 2 1/3 innings, nothing across. He also threw an inning, just gave up a hit. He's looks like the Joe Biagini we saw when we first got him in that Rule 5 draft coming out of the bullpen. Just doing his thing, throwing strikes, not afraid to challenge those hitters. As a reliever this year, that ERA is just at 4, right at 4. It's been coming down since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, definitely in a better spot right now than he was earlier in the season. He'll face Joey Rickard, Jonathan Scope, and Danny Valencia. It'll be interesting to see if this game stays close, who's available in the Blue Jay bullpen, because San Juan O and Ryan Tepera have each pitched each of the last 2 days. And we know that O is a guy the Blue Jays feel is much better when they don't overwork him. And we know that Tepera is a guy who's just come off the DL. Now, each of them had a very short appearance back on Friday, but sometimes that 3rd day in a row, that's just not happening. Teams don't like to pitch guys 3 days in a row unless they need to. So you see Tepera with a clipboard there. Biagini, in all likelihood, will be asked to go multiple innings here today. A pretty good looking curveball there.
Yeah, and he's had some pretty decent games against the Baltimore Orioles in his career, both as a starter and as a reliever. He's had some big strikeout games against them.
Ran that fastball in on his hands. 2-2 now on Rickard.
Back to your talk about the relievers. Gibby was saying the other day that with 4 days off for the All-Star break now, he says he likes to get his relievers in there as quickly as possible because they had the 4 days off.
Martin's going to have to hurry, and he got him. What a terrific play by Russell Martin.
You know what? He's a Gold Glove type of catcher. You've seen it over the years. That's why he's got that gold on this chest protector right there from the Gold Gloves that he won earlier in his career, and he's showing you why. Watch how quickly he jumps out in front. He knows he's got one shot to get Rickard. That ball was not going to go foul. So I got to dive on it, come up throwing in one motion and accurately over to Smoke to get the first out. What a play.
Big play to get Rickard. One down. Here's Jonathan Scope, who has struck out and grounded out. You know, back to the Tepera and O situation, 3rd day in a row. It's not like they've thrown a lot of pitches. O threw 6 on Friday, 10 yesterday. Tepera 4 on Friday, 12 yesterday. But sometimes that doesn't matter. Some teams just don't want to use a guy these days 3 days in a row. I think especially in the case of Tepera just coming off the DL last week.
That number one. Oh, remember how many times he got up yesterday, and getting up, getting loose, getting hot, and then sitting down and waiting another inning takes its toll out on you too.
So Clippard's in play, and obviously a bumpy one for him on Friday night. Axford is in play. Loop hasn't pitched yet in the series, so the Blue Jays may go about it in a different kind of way than you might expect because of who pitched over the last couple of days.
Loop, Mazer, Garcia, the 3 lefties. We haven't seen them at all in this series.
Down and away, 3 balls and a strike to Schoop.
You know, this is why Gibby was saying, you know, I want to get him in there because they've been off. Hard to simulate game situations in the bullpen. So he wants to get his relievers in there, at least get them an inning here, an inning there, so they stay fresh and they stay sharp.
Driven to left field and gone. Off the back wall of the bullpen, Jonathan Schoop has given the Orioles the lead.
Looked like it might have been a cutter out over the plate that he's just going to try and get off of the end of the bat. But Schoop, who hit a home run here on Friday, which was career number 100, picks up his 12th home run on that ball to left field. They're trying to cut that ball away. You can see the spin trying to get it off the barrel of the bat, but it stayed over the middle of the plate. And Schoop's with tremendous power. For a second baseman, he's got a lot of power.
That's his 2nd home run of the series, his 12th home run of the season, career home run number 101 for Jonathan Schoop. And Baltimore's got a 2-1 lead, and now a hard hit ball off the bat of Danny Valencia will get to the fence, ricochet past Smith, and either way it would have been a double for Valencia as we check in with Jamie Campbell. Well, Carpenter hit 3 home runs Friday and 2 doubles. Had a 3-homer, 2-double game Friday, and then homered in both games of the doubleheader yesterday. Comes into the game today having homered in 6 consecutive games. The all-time major league record is 8. So he bunts for a base hit with them employing a 4-man outfield. Here's Mark Trumbo.
Was that Donnie Baseball who hit in 8 in a row?
I think 3 players have done it.
Dale Long,
I believe. Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly. I think Ken Griffey Jr. has done it as well.
Right.
Petrichka's up for the 2nd time today. A strike over the outside corner, 1-1. So the Blue Jays took the lead in the bottom of the 4th. The Orioles tied it up top 5 and now have taken the lead here in the top of the 6th on the home run by Schoop. John Gibbons looking at the Baltimore lineup, looking at his bullpen options, with Biagini giving up a couple of hard hit balls here this half inning. Trumbo's 2 for 2 on the day. And a fly ball to right field. Granderson going back, but he's got room. Tagging at second to Valencia. He'll come to third with 2 down. So Biagini gets the 2nd out as Pete Walker looks on, and now he's back on the phone. Renato Nunez will be the batter. That may have been him taking the call that Petrichka's ready rather than making a call to get somebody else up.
They used to have signals from the bullpen, but now all the bullpens are out of play behind the fences, so you can't see them that well. So just give them a call.
Nunez was going to look a pitch over all the way, and he takes that curveball down and away, ball 1.
When Joe's got that curveball working, he can be tough, but right now he hasn't found it. He's bounced a couple in there this inning.
And a high strike, 1-1 on Nunez. popped him up. And this should get him out of the inning as Solarte is there. But the Orioles do take the lead. Jonathan Schoop with his second home run in the series. 2-1 Baltimore. Baltimore. If you go back and look at all the guys who have faced the Orioles since they moved to Baltimore from St. Louis, they used to be the St. Louis Browns in 1954. Career slugging percentage, not bad, third all time.
Yeah, Albert Bell, slugger. Guerrero, Hall of Famer. Mo Vaughn and Frank Thomas, sluggers, and the Hall of Famer and Frank Thomas. There's sits Curtis Granderson at 6'13". He's hit 27 home runs in his career versus the Baltimore Orioles. The most home runs versus any opponent.
Lines this ball to right field, and there is Valencia for the first out.
He's also had 22 doubles and 7 triples. That's why that slugging percentage is so high. Just missed that one.
Meanwhile, Andrew Kashner, you now look at him a little bit more closely with the work that he's done today. He's gotten 2 double play balls. Randall Grichuk 0 for 2 and a couple of ground outs. Hit a home run off Kashner in this ballpark back on the 8th of June. Coming into the game today since June the 3rd, so you're talking about 7 weeks. Randall Grichuk is in the top 10 in the American League in home runs, extra base hits, and slugging percentage.
That's right around the time he came off the disabled list. June the 1st, first 2 games in Detroit, didn't get a hit, but then from the 3rd on, wow.
Left field, carrying a bit, and it's over the head of Peterson. And Grichuk is into second base. And again, Peterson, a natural infielder, getting more time in the outfield this year, and he just misjudged how far that ball was hit.
The hardest play to make as an outfielder when you've come from the infield is that line drive right at you. You're not sure where to turn or what to do. He got fooled on that line drive. If you can watch him in the outfield, he just stood there. He wasn't really sure, picking it up, and then read it too late, tried to get back, and it's over his head for extra bases. He's played some right field, but mostly, you're right, infield. Second, short, and third. Just his 7 started in the left field this season and got fooled on that one.
Well, the Orioles took advantage of the Blue Jays' defensive mistake, an inability to turn a double play. It helped them score a run. Let's see if the Blue Jays can take advantage of this mistake made by Peterson. Grichuk is hit second with 1 out, and the batter is Justin Smoke after the meeting on the mound. Only 69 pitches thrown by Kashner. Very efficient so far today. Smoke has struck out and hit a fly ball to center field.
Just missed that one too, the fly ball. I mean, he got a good pitch to hit and he missed it. I think that whole talk out there was, hey, there's a runner at second base. This is what we're going to use. And hey, first base is open. Let's be very careful with Justin Smoke.
Guy on deck, Kendrys Morales, has a couple of base hits in today's game. Doesn't want to throw him a fastball.
No. Would you? I wouldn't in this situation.
Grichuk with above average speed out at second base. One down here in the bottom of the sixth. The Jays down 2-1. Left field. Peterson back and has just enough room. Grichuk is going to tag and advance to third with two down.
This 4K broadcast is brought to you by the Samsung QLED TV. See nothing else.
Two to one Baltimore, bottom of the sixth, and activity beginning now in the Orioles pen. A left-hander that the Blue Jays have already seen in this series, Paul Fry. Took the loss on Friday night.
He did a good job getting out of the inning to send it to extra innings, and then the defense hurt him.
Here's Morales looking for a clutch 2-out base hit. And interesting, Tabby, as you look at the infield for the Orioles, totally straight up. Totally straight up in this situation, as opposed to being in the shift. Now, you understand why the third baseman's got to stay closer to the bag with Grichuk there, but Beckham's on the left side of the infield, and instead of being in the shift.
All you have to do is watch the at-bats of Kendrys Morales. He's not trying to pull the ball against Castro. He's trying to go back through the middle. That's where his base hits have gone. So that's what I like about teams. They use the stats that are there for them in all the computer printouts, but then you got to watch the game and see what he's trying to do.
Good pitch there, 1-2. Morales, a guy from the left side, does pull more often than he hits to the opposite field, but he sees the shift all the time. This is very unusual for him to look out there and see Beckham where he is.
Yeah, look at the ground balls, though, where they go. Most of it's in the middle of the field.
Didn't go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Joe West doing his thing down at third base today after having the plate in yesterday's game. I'll tell you, Morales would really annoy the Orioles right now if he pulled a ground ball between the first baseman and the second baseman.
Do you pitch to the shift, or do you pitch to being straight up? Right now, it looks like they're pounding him in with fastballs and then go breaking ball. He hit a changeup for a base hit, remember, last time up. He's seeing everything. Watching his 3 at-bats today so far against Cash, he has seen everything and he's been on everything.
(3-2) and he'll draw the walk. So he's on base for the 3rd time in this game, and now it'll be up to Yangervis Solarte. And Buck Showalter, a brisk walk out towards the mound, breaking into a bit of a jog as he crosses the foul line. Cashner, I mean, he hasn't made a signal yet. Is this a conversation or a pitching change?
It's
Cashner is an unhappy guy.
Not happy,
yep.
Right.
Visible displeasure on the face of Andrew Cashner that he is out of this game here in the 6th inning with just 79 pitches. The Blue Jays, though, obviously they want to turn Solarte around to the other side of the plate, and that's what they'll do with Paul Fry in from the bullpen.
is a tool to inspire change all across Canada. And all season long, we celebrate unstoppable kids in Jays Care programs. Visit jayscare.com/unstoppablekids to support and learn more. Dan.
Thank you, Hazel. The Blue Jays threatening here in the bottom of the sixth. First and third, 2 down, and they get their second look at the series at rookie left-hander Paul Fry.
He's had 12 strikeouts and 1 big walk in his 9 games in the big leagues. He's done a really fine job for him.
First pitch swinging, broken to bat, ground ball, and Solarte is retired. Nunez to Mancini, and that'll be all. 1 pitch, 1 out, end of 6, and Andrew Kashner and the Orioles still have the lead. Sunday Farm Report, Sean Reed Foley has done extremely well in his 4 starts in the month of July. Started the year at AA, at a 2.03 ERA in 8 starts with New Hampshire, now up to AAA. And today, 6 scoreless innings and counting right now for Reed Foley, pitching very, very well right now.
Former second-round draft pick of the Blue Jays in 2014 out of high school. He has really started to move in the minor league system. He's 11-2 this year with a 3 earned run average, more strikeouts than innings pitched. So he might be the next guy that we see come up from Buffalo. The next one we see today, Jake Petrichka will take over for Joe Biagini. There are the numbers for Petrichka in 15 games. Been throwing the ball much better of late because he's throwing a lot harder of late. Good hard sinking fastball and a little breaking ball.
Trey Mancini, the batter for the Orioles, and he fouls one off quickly in the hole. 0-2. Mancini is 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Outside, a ball and 2 strikes, 96 miles an hour on that fastball from Petrichka. Meanwhile, Amerloop and John Axford are both up in the pen. So it looks like maybe John Gibbons is thinking of going to his lefty to face Jace Peterson, as Petrichka rings up Mancini for the first out.
You know, not if he's throwing like that. 96 with movement. That's what Gibby was saying before the game, that he likes what he sees from Petrichka lately because he's throwing harder, and that one totally fooled Trey Mancini. He was looking for the breaking ball. He threw the fastball right by him.
Petrichka made his first appearance for the Blue Jays back on May the 4th, and he gave up runs in 3 of his first 5 appearances. He has given up a run or runs in only 1 of his last 10 appearances. And the ERA, which had gone over 8 for a while, is now down to 3.38 entering this appearance today. And you know what? With some guys on 1-year deals and some guys possibly getting traded, this is a guy who could factor in.
Yeah, well, if he's throwing like this with that movement, did you see the miles per hour on that last one? That hit 98. This is what he looked like when he first came up with the Chicago White Sox. When he came up before he got injured, it was like, hey, this guy's got a good arm. And he's got one of those durable arms too that looks like he could throw every day, and he's got some pop.
He saved 14 games for the White Sox back in 2014. Didn't pitch a whole lot in 2016 because of the injuries. Was with Chicago again last year. The Blue Jays just a second team. That one is fair down into the left field corner, an 0-2 slider that got a lot of the plate, and that'll be a double for Caleb Joseph. Well, we have a moment. Let's send it back to Jamie Campbell. And looking like a really dangerous team after the acquisition of Manny Machado. Got to have been demoralizing to fans of the Arizona Diamondbacks to see the Dodgers go out and get Machado. We'll see if there's a counter move coming for Arizona. Machado went 3 for 8 with a couple of walks in his first 2 games as a Dodger.
And it's strange for him. All he knew was the Oriole way, and then in the midseason you're with another team, but you got to put all that behind you. They got you to win this year, and he's really going to help that team.
Inside, a ball and a strike to Jace Peterson, who had an RBI single his last time up. That scored the first run of the afternoon for the Orioles. They took the lead in the 6th on a home run by Jonathan Scope, and trying to add to it here in the top of the 7th. Wow, way over the top of that slider, 1-2.
Much better depth on that slider than the last one that he threw to Caleb Joseph.
And he got him. Look at the run on that fastball back over the inside corner for strike 3 call.
Got to be impressed with that, throwing hard and then the movement. A little two-seamer that clearly gets that inside part of the plate, freezes up Peterson.
So 2 down, and here's Tim Beckham, who's 0 for 3. A strike at the knees, 0-1. And I think that Nick Marley, the home plate umpire, is hearing something, and there's the guy probably giving it to him right now from the first base dugout. The managers obviously have a better opportunity to see high and low from the dugout than they do inside and outside. And Buck Showalter obviously thought that pitch was low by his reaction.
It's not where he catches it. It's where it crosses the plate. The ball's moving a lot, but it's where it crosses the plate. Looked like a pretty good pitch right at the knees. Got to save a run here. Infielder's got to knock the ball down if it looks like a ground ball is going into the outfield.
Well, now we saw him leave an 0-2 slider over the middle of the plate. Joseph doubled off it. We've seen an electric fastball so far here today. Do you stay with number 1?
Absolutely. I don't care where you throw it. Just give me everything you have right now.
There it is. 3 strikeouts in the top of the 7th for Jake Petrichka. Impressive stuff for him. 7th inning stretch at Rogers Center. Petrichka does his job. How can the Blue Jay offense get going? They'll come up trailing 2-1.
quickest, toughest, and biggest superstars in sports entertainment. WWE Monday Night Raw tomorrow on Sportsnet 360 and Sportsnet Now. Back up to the booth, checking in once again with Dan Shulman and Pat Tabler. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Hazel. And no time like the present for the Blue Jays to try to get the offense going here. They're down 2-1 in the 7th inning. Trying to sweep the Baltimore Orioles. And they've got Russell Martin, Dwight Smith Jr. and Aledmus Diaz scheduled to come up.
The strength of the Orioles, excuse me, Dan, over the last few years has been their late inning relief. And they got their #1 guy back, Zach Britton. So that pushes Brad Brock to the 8th inning. Michael Givens to the 7th inning. And it looks like Buck Showalter is navigating his way and trying to get John Givens to make a decision on the next batter, and he already has.
Yes, he has. Teoscar Hernandez is going to pinch hit for Dwight Smith Jr., which might bring that righty out of the pen right now.
Yeah, that's why they started Fry here. He wanted to keep him in the game here. Looked like Michael Givens was warming up, and there he is on cue. But you have Fry, you force the hand of John Givens, and then you basically have Fry pitch to one batter.
The 2-0 to Martin. All three. We've seen Russell swing on a 3-0 pitch today and a ground out. We've also seen Russell hit a couple of home runs this year on 3-0 pitches.
Yeah, down by a run now where we are. He might be taken here. He swung at a 3-0 pitch last time up and grounded out.
Swinging again. Fouled it off, 3-1. And he's upset. You can see him.
Gibby gives his veterans a lot of freedom to swing 3-0. He feels like, hey, if it's a good pitch, if you're disciplined enough, go ahead and swing away. They've hit how many? 6 home runs?
6, yeah. Most in baseball.
3-0 pitches this season.
Young guys got to earn his trust. The older guys have it. To center field. And Rickard is right there, 1 down.
Now they wait for him to be announced into the ball game. And Hernandez now let him know that he has been announced into the game, and here comes Buck.
So that's all for Fry. Michael Givens will come in to face Teoscar Hernandez, with the Blue Jays trailing 2-1 here in the bottom of the 7th. Another pitching change here at Rogers Center.
Over 160 other marquee MLB matchups on every screen with Sportsnet Now. Visit snnow.ca for more details or to sign up today.
Thank you, Hazel. Nice crowd, better than 39,000 here at Rogers Center today. The Blue Jays down 2-1 as Michael Givens comes in for the bullpen for Baltimore.
2016 he won 8 games out of the pen. 2017 8 more games. He hasn't won one this year. He's 0-6, but he's got a big arm. He pitched in Friday's game, and the Blue Jays touched him up for a run. But make no doubt about it, he's got a big arm. In his career versus the Blue Jays, he's had 32 strikeouts.
And he faced Teoscar Hernandez back on Friday and struck him out. Hernandez pinch hitting for Dwight Smith Jr. 1 out, bases empty, 2-1 Orioles, bottom 7. Almost turns his back on the hitter before he comes to the place. You probably don't see that baseball till the last moment.
He's a former infielder who just couldn't hit, but he's always had a great arm. So the position player turned into a pitcher, and he's become a very good one out of the pen. It's fastball slider. That's what you're basically going to get from Michael Gibbons. He's got that unique low 3/4 arm slot that makes it very tough on righties, and the Orioles have kept the ball away to Hernandez all series long.
2 balls, 2 strikes here.
His go-to pitch is that hard slider that he will use against righties with 2 strikes. This is what Hernandez is looking at.
In and out of the mid of Joseph, so Hernandez still up there. And he got him.
Beauty Tone is the official paint of the Toronto Blue Jays, only available at Home Hardware. Here's how.
It looks like John Axford will be next for the Blue Jays. May take him out of consideration for a possible start tomorrow if the Blue Jays go with a bullpen day, which remains to be seen depending on how this one goes. They could call somebody up from the minors, but Axford was playfully politicking for his start. He's never made a start in the big leagues. In on the hands of Diaz, and he flies out to left field, and that's all here in the bottom of the 7th. Heading top 8, the Orioles still leading 2-1. Authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Only time will tell if today was the last time Jay Happ makes a start in a Blue Jay uniform. We do know for sure, though, going to the 8th, 2-1 Baltimore, John Axford into the game.
Pretty good numbers there for the Axeman. In 42 games, he's won 3 games out of the bullpen. In fact, he won Friday's game with an inning, a very good inning. Threw 9 pitches, had 2 strikeouts. It was clean, 1-2-3. He ended up getting the win in the 10th inning when the Blue Jays scored that run.
Teoscar Hernandez remains in the game in left field after pinch hitting for Dwight Smith Jr. And Joey Rickard leads it off against Axford. Rickard has grounded out twice and struck out. 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Orioles. 1 run, 6 hits, no errors for the Blue Jays. And a curveball grounded out to short, up with a Diaz, and there in time. 1 down. Drive of the game brought to you by the Honda Checkered Flag event. Check out their all-star lineup.
We were tied at 1 apiece when Jonathan Schoop stepped to the plate in the 6th inning and hit this 3-1 pitch from Joe Biagini off the back wall of the bullpen of the Blue Jays. It exited at 108 miles an hour. His 12th home run of the season, this afternoon's drive of the game. That's the 2nd time that Schoop has homered in this series.
He's going to drop this one into right field for a base hit. A 1-out single for Schoop here, top 8.
That was also his 14th career home run against the Blue Jays in 76 games. So you saw the long one. Well, this is the short one. He got beat by that fastball, but he's strong enough to muscle it into the outfield. He has a multi-hit game.
And with 1 on, 1 out, the batter is Danny Valencia. Doubled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Valencia was a member of the Blue Jays back in parts of 2014 and 2015. And he's been around. He's also been with Minnesota, Boston, Baltimore a first time, Kansas City, Oakland, Seattle, and now the Orioles for a 2nd time. And another guy who could wind up getting traded by the deadline just to give a contending team a little bench help.
Yeah, and a veteran who can hit. He could really hit. In 2015, the roster at that time, they had to make a decision, Blue Jays, between Danny Valencia, Chris Colabello. I think Colabello was coming back off the DL or something like that. They had to make a roster move, and they chose Colabello over Valencia. Let him go. He was exposed and was picked up. It all worked out for everybody. Blue Jays got into the playoffs that year.
Only time Valencia's made the postseason was back in his rookie year with the Minnesota way back in 2010, so he probably wouldn't mind a trade to a contending team. Ground ball foul, third base side. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. Maybe not blockbuster deals, but you know, relievers, John Axford type, you know, somebody who can help your bench, a Danny Valencia type. I think we'll see a lot of those types of deals.
We're starting to see a player here, player there start to get traded, and I think then the dominoes are going to start to fall. I think it's going to unlock the trading season. It's not going to be until the last few days of the trade deadline. I think that's when teams will finally agree on players. But they're starting to loosen up.
2 down in the inning, and Valencia's barking about the first pitch curveball that was called a strike as he leaves the play. This was a terrific slider from Axford.
Yeah, he's showing that he's got a little bit more in his toolbox also. Curveball, hard sinker, now this slider for Axford. Now that's 32, at least one batter in 32 of his 43 appearances that he has struck out. He's got a power arm out of that bullpen.
And he starts Mark Trumbo with a strike. Trumbo's 2 for 3, had a double in the 2nd and an infield hit in the 5th. He's also flied out. Oakland A's picking up Joris Familia from the Mets to bolster their bullpen in front of Blake Trinan. Oakland is in contention right now, trying to chase down Seattle.
Have you seen the other guy, that Luke Trevino?
Yeah.
Woo,
Yeah.
Watch out.
They got a deep bullpen right now.
That's why I think Axford can be pretty good. People could want him, especially over the last 10 games, how well he has pitched. An ERA under 1. a strikeout an inning. You love to have that out of the bullpen. He's holding opposition. He's pitched in the postseason, so that's not going to faze John at all. Question becomes, does he want to go? I mean, he loves it here. This is home for him. I don't know if he wants to go anywhere. But you got to figure somebody's likes what they see, and he might be in demand.
Yeah, he's a veteran guy, throws 96.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting in the next couple of weeks. A guy we haven't talked about, haven't heard his name much recently. Danny Barnes is trying to come back from a knee injury. He should be back at some point. And as we mentioned a couple of days ago, Roberto Osuna is eligible to return August the 5th, which is the last day of the upcoming road trip. The last game in Seattle before then the Blue Jays come back home. He is pitching down in the minors right now. Two-two. And the curveball does not get the call. And Martin is frustrated now. And now Nick Marley is hearing it from the third base dugout.
And he was saying that ball in his mind was off the plate. Last inning he heard it from the Baltimore dugout. This time he said that one was off the plate. And it looks like he was right.
Runner goes, and it's sent down the right field line, but foul. When Trumbo gets into one, I mean really squares one up, he can hit the ball about as far as anybody in baseball.
He led the American League in home runs just a few seasons ago.
47, right? 47 1 year.
He's strong. And you're right, once he gets into it, he can hit it a long way. He's listed at 6'4", 225 pounds.
There goes Scope again, and it's ball 4. That's been the one hang up at times for John Axford this year is the walks. When he is consistently in the zone, the stuff's really good. But he's given up some extra free passes here and there.
Well, like his last trip to the mound on a Friday, threw 9 pitches and got 3 outs, 2 of them from strikeouts.
So now Renato Nunez with runners at first and second and 2 down here in the top of the 8th. Nunez 0 for 3.
You can see how Russell caught that ball. It shows you how much movement Axford has on that fastball. Tough to catch, tough to hit.
Popped up into foul territory. A long run for Smoke. Can't quite get there. So it's a ball and a strike now on Nunez. Axford trying to keep the Blue Jays within a run here in the 8th inning. And that is a fair ball headed down the left field line. This will get 1 run home. Into third on the play is Trumbo. Nunez with an RBI double as the Orioles extend the lead.
Trying to get that fastball inside. He just didn't get it in far enough. Nunez pulls the hands in and rips his second double of this series. He doubled on Friday night. That's going to score Scope, who had singled, send Trumbo to third base, and the Orioles get an add-on run in the 8th inning.
Second and third, 2 down. Now 3-1 Baltimore. Here's Trey Mancini. For the Orioles, any win is a good win right now, but the kind of season they're having, a potentially historically bad season. They are 28-71. They're going to make some more trades. If they went, say, if they somehow managed to play 500 ball the rest of the year, they'd still lose over 100 games.
Sure.
I mean, they got a chance to lose 110, 115 games this year. I'm not suggesting they got a chance to play 500 ball. I'm just saying that's how bad it is, that even if they did, they would still lose over 100 games this year. They've lost 9 in a row on the road.
Especially on the road. Look at that run differential, -29. That's just 9 games. Full rebuild mode. And, there's talk of their closer being traded shortly, quickly. We've heard Adam Jones named, a couple of free agents at the end of this season.
They've had one winning streak longer than 2 games this year. They had one 4-gamer. Otherwise, nothing longer than 2.
What a play by Russell Martin right there. He's had a heck of an afternoon defensively. He made a great play on a Joey Rickert ball out in front of home plate. And right there, he saved a run with that backhand.
Still 9 more games between the Blue Jays and Orioles after this one today. 3 more series still to come. 1 here, 2 in Baltimore. 2-2 on Mancini. Thanks for trying to prevent any further damage. Curveball over the mound. Who's going to get it? And they collide. And the inning continues, and a run will score as Diaz and Gurriel collided up the middle. And Diaz, I don't know if he's shaken up.
Yeah.
He may have gotten the worst of that. Remember, Gurriel's just coming off a concussion, but I think Diaz got the worst of it.
Yeah, it looked like his head really snapped when they ran into each other. Communication right into no man's land. That's usually the shortstop's ball. He went after it, he stopped, then he went back after it. And he takes and watches his head and gets snapped just a little bit. So it goes as an infield hit and an RBI, but another play that the Blue Jays had a chance to make and get out of the inning.
And it is 4-1 now for the Orioles. Boy, a couple of plays in the middle of the diamond that have not been made by the Blue Jays today, both proving to be extremely costly. The inability to turn the double play earlier in the day, and then Diaz and Gurriel, they're still talking, just not enough communication on that play. As you said, that's considered to be the shortstop's ball, right?
Yeah.
His momentum's taken him in the right direction.
It looked like he was going after it, that he stopped, then he started after it again, and then they collided. It looked like Ledna's got it in the shoulder. And it looked like Gurriel's glove might have hit him in the face.
The 1-1 to Caleb Joseph, misses outside, ball 2. Now remember, the Blue Jays potentially have a bullpen day tomorrow, with it being announced that DeMarco Estrada is not going to start for the Jays. He'll start for AA New Hampshire tomorrow, and if all goes well, he'll return to the rotation in Chicago on the road trip. And unless they call somebody up, that means probably Luis Santos would get the start for the Blue Jays and hope to give them a couple of innings. Jaime Garcia, obviously, if he is called into the game, still would be able to give them more than an inning.
Santos was the name we heard today, depending on what happened in today's ball game.
Full count. Possibly tomorrow's starter. Runner from first will be on the move. 3-2, swing and a miss, and that's all for the Orioles' top 8. But they get a couple of runs and now lead 4-1 going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Time now for a Blue Jay Central update. Once again, Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker from the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
jersey is presented by Honda. On Wednesday, August 8th, the first 20,000 fans will receive this Aaron Sanchez blue replica jersey. Then sit back and watch the Blue Jays host the Boston Red Sox. As always, visit BlueJays.com for tickets. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. To the bottom of the 8th inning, it's now 4-1 for the Baltimore Orioles, and another guy who could be traded by the deadline, pending free agent Brad Brach.
Yeah, another former All-Star also. In 2016, Brad Brach was an All-Star for this team. This year in 40 games, 1-2, 434 earned run average. He is now pitching in front of Zach Britton. This is where he got most of his acclaim as a reliever when he went to the All-Star game in 2016.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. leads off the bottom of the 8th. He's 1 for 2. And we now understand he was charged with an error on that play, the collision up the middle with Aledmys Diaz. It looked like initially it went up on the scoreboard as a base hit, but we are now being told that he's been charged with an error on that play.
Brach won 10 games out of the bullpen that year when he was an All-Star. A 205 earned run average, got into 71 games. He's got that rubber arm that he can throw all day, every day.
A classic kind of guy that a contending team would love to go out and get for maybe the 7th inning, maybe the 8th inning. Who knows? Just add a little more depth. The bullpens become so important, and in October as well.
He's a strikeout type of pitcher. He doesn't blow the ball by you. He can do that. He's got a pretty decent fastball, but it's a lot about deception. Tough to pick the ball up. Crossfires against you. He's got a good breaking ball against righties.
Popped out of play by Gurriel. Slashes it into right field for a base hit. It has been an eventful day for Gurriel in his return to the active roster.
He can hit. He really can. What an at-bat against a pretty good pitcher. That's a good two-strike approach. Just cut things down, go the other way, a ball cutting away from him, and he's able to hit it into right field. Good start for the Jays in the 8th.
Yeah, they just got to figure out what he is in the field. And as he'll tell you, but I'm sure they would tell you, he's got to tighten things up a little bit defensively. Now that error is a tricky play with him and Diaz colliding, and I think we would both agree that it's probably more Diaz's ball than Gurriel's ball on that last play.
I'll agree that it was a base hit. You know.
Yeah. But they got a couple of months to find out what he is. As Curtis Granderson takes outside, 2 balls, no strikes. And if his ceiling is super utility guy, play 3-4 spots, get 400 at bats. I mean, he's got a lot of life in that bat. He can be a pretty dangerous 10th guy. Throw to second, one back to first, not in time. Granderson aboard on a fielder's choice, 4-6 on the put out at second.
Yeah, it's really interesting how, we've talked about it a couple of times already in this game about the shift and how things are a little bit different. Watch Tim Beckham. He is the other man in the shift now. He's got to go across to make that throw and basically throw that ball back across the infield flat-footed. Normally a shortstop's coming across the bag and his momentum, and it all works together, and you can get a little bit more on that throw, but that time it works against them. They still get the lead runner, but they can't finish off the double play.
So 1 on, 1 out for Randall Grichuk. He lays off the slider down and away, ball 1. Grichuk is 1 for 3. He had a double to left his last time up. Well, the Blue Jays looking like they'll have to deal with Zach Britton in the 9th unless they make a big time comeback here in the bottom of the 8th. Check swing foul off. The Blue Jays will host the Minnesota Twins for 3 beginning tomorrow night. We talked about the Estrada possibility of a bullpen game situation. for the Blue Jays tomorrow. Ryan Borucki will return from the minors after the required 10-day stint down there. He'll start Tuesday. And then Sam Gaviglio Wednesday as Grichuk hits one a ton. Third deck, left field, one-run game.
We are starting to see why the Blue Jays thought so highly of Randal Grichuk when they made that trade with the St. Louis Cardinals. 24 home runs 2 seasons ago for the Cardinals, 22 more last year. This is number 13, and it's a no doubt about it as he turns on that block pitch and sends it out of here to get those 2 runs right back for the Blue Jays.
All of a sudden 4-3 here in the 8th inning with a 1 out, and here's Justin Smoak.
Watch how quickly this ball gets out of here. That's bat speed.
Number 13 for Grichuk. We talked about how rough the April was. Then he got hurt, went on the DL. How good he's been since he came back in early June. Injured Kevin Pillar enjoying a moment with Grichuk. Grichuk filling in center field for Pillar. You know, Grichuk's not likely, Tabby, to be a 300 hitter. That's not who he is. But if he can hit for a decent average, hit the home runs that he's going to hit, run the bases well, and play wherever he's going to play in the outfield the way that he's capable of playing in, that's a pretty good ball player. Look at this. Stay fair, and it will. Justin Smoak with a base hit.
You can't defend everything. They go into that shift to prepare against the ball that is hit to the right side. Nobody on the left side. Smoak hits it off the end of the bat, and he's saying stay fair, ball, and it does. Right over the corner of the bag.
And you know he was hearing it and seeing it from the dugout after that base hit. Pitching coach Roger McDowell out to talk with Brock, and Smoak's going to leave for a pinch runner. Devin Travis will come into the game.
Well, we've been talking about Grichuk and how quick his bat is. Now we're going to show you the numbers. See you later. Exit velocity of 107, projected distance 416 as he sends that one into orbit, making this a 1-run game.
And the tying runs at first. Devin Travis running for Smoak, and the batter will be Kendrys Morales, who's got a couple of hits and he's drawn a walk. And they are playing no doubles defense. Tabby, they want to make sure they do anything they can to keep Travis from scoring. Want to cut off a ball in the gap before it gets to the fence if they can. You've talked about it in all 3 plate appearances today. You think Morales is seeing the ball extremely well.
He's been on everything, at least when Andrew Cashner was out there. He ended up walking his last time up. There's that shifting defense again.
Fair ball. And they will take the sure out at first. Mancini thought about a throw to second, then settled for the sure out, 2 down.
Yeah, you'd like to get that lead runner, but he didn't have the good angle to make that throw to second base. He's holding the runner on. And when he came off, he caught the ball, and there was no angle, no window for him to throw that ball. So he did the right thing and just held on to it. Coach Showalter's going to come out. Watch Mancini come off, catch the ball. He couldn't get inside that base runner to get the lead out, so he'll take the one at first base, and Brad Brock's afternoon is done.
And Buck Showalter will go to a lefty. Tanner Scott will come in. They will turn Yangervis Solarte around again with the tying run at second base and 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th. The tying run at second and 2 down in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, and Buck Showalter's going to bring in the left-hander who throws hard to turn Solarte around. He struck out the side, did Tanner Scott, versus the Blue Jays when they last saw him. That was in yesterday's game. He's only thrown 2 innings against the Blue Jays in his career, and he's got 5 strikeouts. Hard fastball, hard slider.
Well, the Orioles, Buck Showalter, they turned Solarte around in the 6th inning, bringing in Paul Fry and got him on a first pitch ground ball to third. Here a base hit could tie it.
He swung at the first pitch in that last at bat, taking all the way that time.
Grichuk maybe talking about that long home run that he just hit to Pilar and Granderson. Travis out at second, 2 down. And 1-0 the count on Solarte. Well, they saw the fastball now. It looked like, and we've seen Solarte do this from time to time, is early in an at bat, take a pitch. You can see he's taken all the way. Maybe he just wanted to see one more, wanted to see a fastball.
Wanted to gauge the speed of the fastball. He's got a quick arm to Scott, and that ball gets on you quick. Solarte is 1 for 1 in his career against him.
Two balls and a strike. Blue Jays were down 4-1 going to the bottom of the 8th. Base hit by Gurriel. He was forced at second on a fielder's choice, a ground ball by Granderson, and then Grichuk cashing in Granderson and himself with a 2-run homer off the facing of the third deck out in deep left. Infield hit for Justin Smoke. He leaves for the pinch runner. Travis takes second on the ground ball by Morales, and now it's 3-1 on Solarte. So he has missed. Actually, the first fastball was a strike. The last 2 have missed. He's thrown 3 fastballs in a row.
Yeah, and if you're Solarte, keyhole, you're looking for one pitch in one spot right here.
High fly ball to deep left field. Did he get enough of it? Gone! Solarte has given the Blue Jays the lead.
When you are facing a pitcher who has a good fastball, you are in a fastball count. Go ahead and look for it, but make sure it's in the spot where you like it. And Solarte liked that one out over the plate. He knew he got all of that one as soon as he touched it.
A 4-run bottom of the 8th for the Blue Jays to take a 5-4 lead.
Fastball out over the plate, and the reaction, he's hit plenty of those this year. He knows what it feels like to leave the ballpark. That's his 17th home run. He's now driven in 50 runs for the Blue Jays. Deep and out of here.
Russell Martin is the batter. 2 down, bases empty now. 2 homers this inning for the Blue Jays. Randall Grichuk, number 13. Yangervis Solarte, number 17.
They are up there in late home runs. One of the best teams in baseball, hitting home runs from the 7th inning on, and that's a big one.
This is serious Solarte today. Didn't see a whole lot of dancing after the home run. 2-2 on Martin. So the Orioles get 2 in the top half of the 8th, and then the Blue Jays come back with 4 in the bottom half, looking for a sweep in this series. And Martin strikes out to end the inning. But we will go to the 9th. Grichuk homers, Solarte homers, Blue Jays 5, Orioles 4, with O and Tepera down for the day, having pitched each of the last 2 games. Tyler Clippard trying to nail it down. He was up to work the top of the 9th inning after the Blue Jays scored 4. It is now a save situation for Clippard, who blew the save here Friday night, gave up 3 runs, gave up 2 homers. Again, no O, no Tepera, not available today. Clippard looking for 3 big outs here in the 9th.
Yeah, and he will face the bottom of the order for the Baltimore Orioles, and then they will flip back to the top. And because of the pinch running, Devin Travis is into the game.
Brand new infield. Travis comes in at second base. That pushes Gurriel from second to short. That pushes Diaz from short to third. And then that pushes Solarte from third to first. So everybody's in a new spot here going to the 9th inning. And the first pitch is swung on, sent to left center field. And Teoscar Hernandez runs it down for a big first out. Jace Peterson retired on 1 pitch.
Blue Jays are playing no doubles, nothing over your head. You can't afford it. Peterson doesn't waste any time slicing that ball to left center field, but because the Blue Jays were playing no doubles, Teoscar can run it down for the first out.
And now Tim Beckham. Clippard struck Beckham out Friday night in between the 2 homers. The first one was hit by Caleb Joseph. The second one was hit by Jonathan Scope. And Martin looks okay after the mask bore the brunt of that. Thumbs up, he says.
Beckham has already homered 1 time in this series. He also sent Granderson to the wall in right field earlier today.
Blue Jays in the outfield are playing him way around to the opposite field. On the corner, 0-2. And Beckham has not been a fan of the strike zone on a few occasions today. Big turnaround in the bottom of the 8th. And now the Blue Jays 2 outs away from a victory and a sweep. Can Clippard nail it down? Pick up the save. And it hit him. Splitter just ran way away and inside. Didn't go down at all. Ran right in and hit him.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
That last outing that Tyler was in the game did not have good control of the splitter then on Friday, and loses one here 0-2 to Beckham and hits him.
Now Joey Rickard Jay Happ went 5 innings today, gave up a run on 4 hits, didn't walk a batter, struck out 9, but the pitch count really got up in the 5th, so he was not able to go more than 5. Biagini, Petrichka, and Axford have each worked an inning since. Line to third, throw to first, not in time. But man, Aledmus Diaz showing us why third base is called the hot corner, and he's a guy who hasn't played down there very much, Tabby.
You've got players out of position right now. Not saying they can't do it, but out of position. They haven't played there. He's in guarding against the bunt, and that ball hooks right to him, and then off the back foot tries to get the runner at first base. I like the play on the other end by Solarte, leaving the bag and saving that ball from going down the right field line. Solarte with a heads-up play at first base.
So 2 down, and the batter is Jonathan Schoop, who has homered today and homered off Clippard Friday night. He is what stands between the Blue Jays and a victory right now. Outside, ball 1.
You know, it was a changeup that Schoop hit out. I don't think he's going to see one.
Beckham at first, 2 down. Swing and a miss at a fastball, 1-1.
And Schoop was trying to take it out of here. Some action in the pen for the Blue Jays.
Luis Santos, the right-hander, Tim Meza, the left-hander, just in case.
Schoop is a big power hitter, and of course the outfielders are deep, no defense. You also put that third baseman on that line. You can see Diaz, he's had 1 start over there at third base. He knows what he's doing over there. He's on the line. You don't want anything between you and the foul line.
Yeah, to keep him in the park, you want to make him get 3 hits to beat you, or in this case a hit batter and 2 hits to beat you, or to tie the game. 2 balls and a strike. The count on Schoop. Tying run at first with 2 down here in the 9th. Got him swinging on a fastball up, and it's 2-2. So you're right, he has not thrown him a changeup yet.
No.
Both strikes have been swings and misses on a fastball.
And he hasn't been able to get the splitter over. So you eliminate 2 of those pitches. He still can go to that fastball. We've seen a slider from him.
Yeah. Fans on their feet at Rogers Center, better than 39,000 here this afternoon. The 2-2. Upstairs wouldn't chase, full count, and now the runner gets a head start.
Stay close to him. Solarte is backing up because he's a right-handed batter. Stay close to him. Don't give him that extra step at first base.
Beckham runs pretty well. 3-2 the count on Schoop. There goes the runner. And a swing and a foul tip, and it's over. Clippard picks up the save, and the Blue Jays roar back with 4 in the bottom of the 8th to beat Baltimore 5-4 and sweep the series.
They have made it a common thread this year, hitting home runs late in the ball game. They hit 2 big home runs in the 8th inning. They came into this game with the 3rd most home runs as a home team this year, behind the Yankees and Indians in the American League, and they show why they're never out of a ball game with that home run power. Blue Jays sweep the Orioles, first sweep since they swept the Washington Nationals last month.
Big home runs for Grichuk and Solarte late. Clippard gets it done at the top of the 9th, and the Blue Jays sweep the series. Time now for Blue Jays Central. Here are Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker.